Hello everyone, my name is Ilia, and in this video I'd like to share my experience working with the EAs of Valeria. So there will be three parts in this short presentation. First, I'll say a couple of words about myself, about my risk profile, and what am I actually into in the forex markets. And then I will share some insights and some thoughts about the EAs themselves. And of course, at the end, we will have a small showcase. I will show couple of my real accounts just for sake of proof what's working for me. Let's move on. In total, about my background. So I'm working at Forex markets more than 2 years. And speaking about my risk profile, for me, it's really a tool for a small percentage of the overall capital. So the only goal for me is to get a bit higher returns than traditional assets or commodities or stocks. So I'm looking into return more than 15% per year. And for me, the key thing is I'm ready to take a risk and I'm ready to lose the money because it's just a small percent and this is basically replaceable. So I would not say disposable, but this is something that I'm really ready to lose almost any time. Speaking about the EAs that Valeria is presenting on the market, first of all, for me, it's just a tiny bit. I would say it's roughly 1/3 of everything that I'm currently running, that currently exists in my portfolio. And after carefully evaluating of more than 30 systems, I would say over the last, I think, 2.5 years when I was actively doing that, all of her systems currently, except from News Hunter, which is currently a bit discarded, are still active and still up and running. On the screen, I have some notes where actually I've started working with them. And the reason why it was that early is because I'm almost an early baker, because I've bought all of them since they were even announced. I think since the first time I've met the EAs on MQL market, I've purchased the first one, it was Night Hunter, and then all the other ones, I've just bought them at the same day as they were announced on the Telegram group. And that's why basically it's very important to be one of the first because you have the lowest price. So speaking about the experience, step by step. So for me, the most important part is the requirements and documentation. I'm very eager to read the documentation, even for the power tools you buy, but for the EAs, it's even more important because there are requirements for each of them. And this is something you need to think about because this also consists of the amount of money you need to put in there, type of broker and preferable type of broker. Because that depends, some EAs require really low spread, and some EAs don't really care about the spread. But there are also different risk presets that you have to have different capital for, and that's why documentation is a key, and like you have to study it. And for the ones that Valeria is currently offering, it's all available. So you have backtest results. You have explanation of all the parameters or almost all the parameters. And what's also very important, you can do the backtest yourself. So you can basically proof it on different data, on different brokers, and build your own strategy. And this is where we come to the second point, to the support and community, because each EA has its own Telegram group where all the users who purchased the EA are invited, at least invited. And you can find a different type of people there. You have newcomers, you have experienced traders, you have people who share their research, their results of the test, their presets. And that takes a lot of time to get through it. That takes a lot of time to read it. It takes a lot of time to evaluate, to try all the things mentioned. But for me, if you read it, if you're ready to go that deep, it's worth it because you get an incredible outcome, especially from the experienced traders, of course. So Valeria itself, she's available and she is responding both in the community channels to the individual messages. Also, she's highlighting whatever major events are on the market or whatever the system, for example, faced some drawdown or maybe some loss at the end of the month if it's a scalper system, for example. And then you have the feedback and you have some explanation and you have the motivation for that, which is also for me very key because openness is a key, and I'll touch upon this on my next slide. Also, if you have whatever sensitive topic, like, of course, if you work with Forex for years, you do realize that not all the questions are reasonable reasonably to ask on the public group, because there are indeed some tricky ones. So you can just ask her in direct messages, and she's responding within, depending on the date and time and the phase of moon, from a couple of hours up to 1 or 2 days. I think that was a maximum for me, which is for me very good. Another key thing, you're talking to the developer of the EA, and that's a big difference. If you're into the Forex EAs, very often you go into people who just resell them, and this is sometimes becomes tricky if you have a really complex question, because they don't know. And now you're talking to the developer, which is extremely nice. For me, this is one of the biggest key features of working with your EAs. And just as a disclaimer, of course, it's not a holy grail, right? So there will be losses or there will be drawdowns on the grid systems. Be aware, mind your capital, mind your risk profile, and never put on Forex money that you are ever not ready to lose, just for the sake of making a disclaimer. So another key thing is transparency. For example, there was a tool, there was an EA that was, I think, introduced over the last year, News Hunter Pro, and it was profitable for a relatively long period of time. And of course, like every profitable on-grid EA is exploiting something on the market, and that the market is adapting, right? So some windows are changing, some windows are closing, and of course, some systems cannot be profitable forever, I would say most of them. So when that happened, there was a very clear explanation that, hey, market changed, and that is what it is. And I would suggest you either to lower the risks and or turn it off. And it was actually taken out of the market, so it's not for sale anymore. And for me, that's a great example of being honest and being transparent with your buyers and with your customers. And another thing, but it's a bit more advanced one, that you have a tool with some presets, with some predefined ones, but this is just the top of the iceberg, because if you want to invest time, if you're ready to do that, if you want to do back tests, do your own research, spend time on the community, talking to community, reading all the notes, reading all the experience that people went through, and of course doing your own back tests, evaluating your risk profile, then you can get way better results. But that requires time and knowledge. And another key thing, all the EAs, they have a very advanced parameters, especially for testing. So you can define how often do you do withdrawals, what are the maximum, for example, loss that you want to accept, and configuring all of this, you can define your strategy, which will, for example, include small amounts of money on per account and frequent losses. And if for you the math is good and you believe in your research, you can make it way more profitable than the average, and like 15, 20, 40% per month. And the last slide I wanted to show is some live accounts. So here's the MQL terminal that I'm running. And this is, I think, one of the accounts with just a couple of $1,000. It is running Golden Pickaxe, and it's, I think, running Waka at the same time. One second, I think it's lagging. Yes, indeed, it is running also Waka at the same time with the different presets, and it has like, well, relatively reasonable amount of money per account. And here is another one. I think this is a high risk. Yes, it is. It is running just Golden Pickaxe for the very high risk. But also, according to my research and according to my model and my back tests, I'm going to get very good results with that. I have a couple of more, but they have different combinations and they're running different EAs. So let's stick to this one for now. I think this is it. This is everything I wanted to share. I've highlighted the most important key features for me. And yeah, as last words, I would definitely recommend you to explore. I think for me personally, it's worth buying, but I never recommend anyone anything on the stock market or on whatever trading tools or especially EAs, because this is up to the person. I can share my experience and what I'm doing, and then it's up to you to make a choice. But I'm quite happy with the EA and with the working with Valeria. This is it. Have a good day, and yeah, um, let's wrap it for now.